Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you're watching the Political Vigilante. Boom! Look at it, making Gotham great again. Citizens of Gotham. Thank you for joining me. This is submitted by Crafty Geek. Great way to support the show is go to patreon.com, also rockfin.com. The ongoing death of free speech. Prominent ACLU lawyer cheers suppression of a new book. This came out about last month by Glenn Greenwald. Now, so we've talked about Glenn. I don't know him personally. I got mad respect for the guy, and he's being censored. He got censored for asking questions about Hunter Biden. And this article, it's very lengthy, and I'll put it in the show notes, is about he's really being critical of the ACLU. There's a book that came out, and I'll get into it in a sec, that basically talks about this woman wrote this book. She'd done some research that young teenage girls specifically were identifying as gay and then having the transgender surgery. And she's like, I don't think this is a good idea. So people came down on the book, which, it's fair to have I don't agree, I don't like it. But then he goes into how they got censored and how the president of the ACLU was okay with censorship. And Glenn Greenwald in this article is like, hey, man, the ACLU I grew up with that I thought were heroic were the people that were like, everybody gets free speech. I mean, and Glenn Greenwald, look, man, when he was calling out the crimes of the Bush administration, everybody, the liberals all loved him. When he called out the crimes of the Obama administration, he got shunned, and when he called out the crimes of Obama and Biden and the Clintons, he's a Russian asset, he's a Trumper, he's a whatever else. And it's like he's anything from that. He's actually what a real journalist is. But this is what we do now. We smear people who call the truth. But this is a fantastic article. I suggest reading the whole thing. I'm going to go through some of the key elements, and I appreciate Crafty Geek for submitting this. It's Crafty. You've been submitting great stuff for the show for years, and I appreciate it. A lengthy, deeply reported examination of the internal war engulfing the ACU. Fueled by a raging conflict between its more traditional lawyers who still believe in the primacy of free speech and the need to defend it, and the newer political liberal activists and lawyers who do not. I interviewed was the organization's longtime executive director, Anthony Romero, who was forced to navigate the post-Charlottesville controversy with a series of increasingly confusing statements. And this is the thing, like Glenn Greenwald took some crap defending the freedom of speech of what happened in Charlottesville. He's like, it's awful, people died, but they do have a right to protest. They don't have a right to drive a car through, but which, whatever your stance is, like I totally respect that. I try to stick to that free speech as much as possible and respect it. And the debate is, well, if they're neo-Nazis advocating to, take out people that aren't white or whatever, then that's dangerous. And, it's like were the Nazis given too much free speech in Germany in the 30s. So that's the debate. That's the issue. So Glenn Greenwald is taking the pure stance of free speech right on. But he's the ACLU, which was always about that. He's pointing it out. Increasingly confusing statements designed to appease not only public and donor anger over the defense by ACLU lawyers of the right of white supremacists to march after one killed a prosecutor with his car, but also the internal rage that ACLU lawyers took that free speech case. So there's people within the ACLU that were just mad that the ACLU lawyers took the case of the white nationalists, right? I remember in the 80s when the Nazis wanted to march. They marched in Evanston, where I grew up, and then they wanted to march in Skokie. Skokie is a suburb next to Evanston. They're both two suburbs on the North Shore of Chicago, and Skokie is a largely Jewish population. And they wanted to march there, and they went to court about it. And their lawyer I believe it was with the ACLU, defending their right for free speech, was Jewish. And he took a ton of shit, obviously, but he was just a firm advocate of freedom of speech, right? So that's like the history of what the ACLU has done. They've defended, people who want free speech against big corporations and the government and all that stuff, but they've also defended like right-wingers and neo-Nazis and stuff like that, which, that's what Glenn Greenwald is like. That's the ACLU that I think is amazing. So that's what he's going in about. Numerous ACLU staffers told me that one of the most vocal and effective advocates for a more nuanced free speech approach was Chase Strangio, the ACLU's deputy director and transgender justice of its LGBT and HIV project. I knew Strangio as an excellent lawyer who earned my admiration for his years of dedication representing WikiLeaks whistleblower Chelsea Manning. That's right. I mean, Gleamer, he's so fair and even. He's giving this guy credit. He's going to criticize him in this article, but he's giving him good, fair credit. And man, right on that this guy defended Chelsea Manning. Chelsea Manning, again, that's the ACLU. They've defended Chelsea Manning. They defended neo-Nazis. So Strangio's very un-ACLU-like views of free speech were on full display on Friday morning. Abigail Schreier, the author of a new book exploring the rapid, massive increase in teenage girls self-identifying as trans boys and undergoing permanent gender reassignment therapies and surgeries in their teens. I have not read this book. I cannot comment on this book. I will give my personal comment just on that trend. If anyone wants to get gender re-identification or whatever it's called, get the transgender surgery to change your gender, I'm all for it. I don't think a teenager should do that. They're not adults yet. The human brain isn't fully developed till in the early 20s, in some cases almost 25 years old. The human brain is not fully developed. So if I had a kid, I don't, but if any of my 6 nieces or nephews, all of whom were under 25, said they wanted to do this, I'd say, just wait. Just wait. And there also, I know people who have teenage kids like Graham because there's such support for LGBTQ, which is great. And somebody comes out and everybody surrounds, oh, this is so great. And the kid gets supported, which is wonderful because, I did an interview with my good friend, Todd Glass, on my documentary Earbuds. Todd Glass is a longtime comic friend of mine, and he came out of the closet on the Mark Maron show, and I interviewed him about that whole process. And one of the things he said, he goes, look, I realized I needed to come out. I mean, we all kind of knew Todd's gay. We all knew it for years, whatever. Like, none of my business. I don't care. He's my friend, whatever. It's all good. So when he came out to me, I was like, yeah, Todd, I always knew. We were like driving to a gig in Vegas, and he was like, oh, he's over really. I go, man, but it's all good, dude. I love you. It's great. Don't worry about it. But one of the things he said in my interview is that he knows what it's like to be a teenager. And he was a teenager, in the 80s, and coming out was a lot harder. So he wanted to come out and say, it sucks and your friends are freaking out or whatever. And just said, it's okay. And so the fact that we're like supporting teenagers who are coming out and saying, it's okay, you're not bad, because, there's all these awful, heartbreaking stories of like, oh, my parents disowned me. My friends didn't want to talk to me. Whatever. I'm a guy. I'm on a sports team. The guys on the sports team didn't want to get near me. They didn't want to undress in front of all this stuff. It's really brutal. So the fact that we're supporting it is good. Like, if that's how you identify, that's great. But then if we're going too far, like in terms of supporting, but then I want to get the surgery. It's just me as a parent, I would be like, let's wait. Once you're in your 20s and you're fully, let's wait, because there are some people who said I was gay and then, maybe not. I know some people did that when they were younger. They were like, I'm gay. And then they were in gay relationships and then they're not. Now they're in straight relationships. And transgender surgery is irreversible. So just to ask these questions like, whoa, maybe this is again, I haven't read this book. It's fair to ask those questions and to even have this debate or discussion. And to just say this and then immediately, like, if anyone watches, it's like, Graham, you hate transgender. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's a fair. If I had children and they came to me, I'd say, let's just wait. Let's just wait. Once you get in your mid-20s, late 20s, you want to do this, I totally support. I'll even help pay for it, but let's just wait. That's all I would say. That's just my view. I don't have any kids. I got 6 nieces and nephews. If any of my nieces and nephews came to me, this is what I would say to them. Now, I don't know the agenda of this author or anything like that. But again, this article, this video, and this article by Glenn Greenwald is not about whether we agree or disagree with the book. I just give you my personal opinion just to show you that it's okay to ask these questions, and asking these types of questions doesn't mean you hate transgender people or whatever. But this is what happened when this author was like trying to get book, like promote their book. Anyone's got a new book, they get to go out and promote their book, right? The efforts to block my reporting have been legion, starting with staff threats at a publishing house, which quickly reversed its original intention to publish my book. Once I obtained a stalwart publisher, Regenry, Amazon refused to allow that company's sales teams to sponsor ads on its site. Amazon allowed sponsored ads for books that uncritically celebrate medical transitioning for teenagers. This is what Glenn Greenwald's talking about. That's censorship. Like, and it's financially censoring them. You don't get to make this book. There's a lot of books by authors out there I don't like. Sean Hannity has books. Bill O'Reilly has books. I'm never buying them. I'm never buying them. I'm never buying Rush Limbaugh's book. First of all, he's going to buy drugs with it. But I'm never buying any of those people's books. Because the book tackles an interesting phenomenon, a number of established journalists wanted to review it. The issue has created surprising bedfellows. Religious conservatives are concerned about the trend, but so are lesbians who look upon the shocking numbers of teen girls transitioning with abject alarm. Many suspect that all this transitioning of girls is effectively euthanizing a generation of young lesbians. So if some lesbians are like, oh boy, this trend. So now are we going to say that the lesbians hate the transgenders and are against the surgery? Or are the lesbians asking the same questions that I'm asking? Like, maybe they're too young. Maybe they're just being a teenager and they're confused about their sexuality or whatever. Maybe they're gay, maybe they're not. And they're just like jumping into this surgery too soon because it's a big decision. It's irreversible. It's a big decision. In any case, every major newspaper and legacy magazine summarily turned interested journalists down. And then the main point of this article is that like one of the heads of the ACLU, Chase Strangale, put this on Twitter. Abigail Strainer's book is a dangerous polemic with a goal of making people not trans. I think all of the times and ways I was told my transness, so he's transgender, wasn't real, and the daily toll that still takes. We have to fight these ideas which are leading to the criminalization of trans life again. Also, stopping the circulation of this book and these ideas is 100% a hill I will die on. Yeah. Glenn Greenwald writes, it's nothing short of horrifying, but sadly also completely unsurprising to see an ACLU lawyer proclaim his devotion to stopping the circulation of a book because he regards its ideas as wrong and dangerous. It is important to note that Strangio's views are mostly definitively not shared by everyone at the ACLU. Many of the group's more traditional free speech advocates still prioritize its civil liberties principles over liberal policies and liberal policy political causes. And the article goes in more detail than this. And Glenn reached out to him and said, look at your tweet. And he said, well, I don't say ACLU for my Twitter. It wasn't, I don't say I'm an ACLU lawyer in my Twitter account. It's my personal opinion. And then he took the tweet down, which is like, dude, you're an ACLU lawyer. That's the problem. And this is the thing Glenn Greenwald is taking a lot of heat for, but he's pointing out correctly that now, like, liberals are doing more censorship. To say, transgender is evil, wrong, and against God's will or whatever, that's offensive. It's hurtful. There shouldn't be laws that say you can't be transgender or transgender people aren't allowed. All the people getting bent out of shape about the bathrooms, whatever. Let people, use whatever bathroom you want to use. I'm all for it. But this is the problem. Then you can't then say this book shouldn't be in circulation because the author is asking these questions. Even if the author has an agenda of I'm anti-trans, don't read the book. Vote for politicians that are pro-LGBTQ. Make that firm in your stance. I wouldn't vote for somebody that's anti-LGBTQ. I wouldn't. And you can't put a tweet out like that and say, 100% die on this, 100% against, I'm 100% in favor of blocking this book. When you're a lawyer for the ACLU, that's what Glenn Greenwald is bringing up. He said it's not right. And this is why I got such mad respect for Glenn Greenwald. Whatever your opinion of the author of that book, I have not read the book, but if the ACLU is going to defend white nationalists and Chelsea Manning, that's what the ACLU stands for. They do all of this. Then they have to defend that book. This is why for the most part, I don't like, I'm not this censorship and I don't like it. Alex Jones says crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't watch him. I don't subscribe to him. I don't follow him. I don't like any of his videos. I know how powerful those analytics are because I have this channel. I don't do it. When I watch clips from the big major media stuff on YouTube, I always skip the ads because I don't want them to get the ad revenue and I never like the videos. If somebody really says something I don't like, I don't follow them. I block them. I don't buy their book. I don't watch their TV show. I don't watch their YouTube. I don't listen to their podcast. I don't do any of those things. And the thing is it's dangerous. Liberals start doing this. They think they're on the right because it's just, we're putting our views out there. You're still censoring. So now you're allowing fascism to take hold. That's part of fascism, is censorship. Now, you could pass laws saying you can't have a Nazi flag like they did in Germany. I think that might be good. You can't have a Confederate flag. You can't have those things. But if you want to put that out there, you want to say that, it's a slippery slope, man. It's a slippery slope. Because I'm someone that's been censored. YouTube throttles me. They demonetize videos they don't like. They've flat out taken videos, just taken them down. Where I talk about war, where I talk about Epstein's ties to the ruling class, all that stuff. Talk about police brutality. They've taken those videos down. Military war crimes, they take those videos down. So we're getting into a real dangerous area here. And with Biden in the White House, he's better than Trump. But he's going to be doing more censorship. And just because it's censoring things you don't like, you're okay with it? All right. I was asked to speak last summer at this Mythicist Minds event. Largely conservative, libertarian, center-right people. Not a lot of lefties on that panel. And some Anding Yo or maybe an alt-right person was supposed to speak there. And so they were threatening. There was bomb threats. They had to move it and keep it secretive at the last minute. And people were like, Graham, you shouldn't do it. And I went there and on my panel, and I was on panel with this Sagar, I forget his name. Anyway, he's made a lot of offensive videos or whatever, and he's ruffled a lot of people's. And I got my progressive views out, and they videotaped it and they put it on their website and everything. And I was like, if I would have succumbed to the bomb threats and the whatever else and not gone, and a bunch of libertarians and center-right people came up to me afterwards and said, hey, man, I really appreciate what you said. I don't agree with everything, but I appreciate it. I appreciate that you're here. They were like, I appreciate you. And I remember hearing somebody like, who's like, somebody, I was walking, I heard some crowd people go, isn't that Graham Elwood guy from the Jimmy Dore show? What's he doing here? And this other guy goes, he's a big free speech guy. And then went, oh, that's cool. So they just gave me respect and they listened. They didn't shout me down. They didn't boo me off the stage. They listened to me talking about Medicare for all, to me talking about all these lefty progressive things. And I have libertarians that watch this show. I have ex-Trump supporters that watch this show. And they're getting wise to my populist lefty socialism. They're like, wow. And so if I would have just said, I'm not going to this thing, it's a right-wing event, I will go to any right wing. I'll be on Tucker Carlson's show. I don't care, because I know my views resonate with the majority of the population because the polls all say it. So if I succumb to censorship, then I'm keeping this country divided. It's a reasonable discussion to have. Should teenagers be getting irreversible transgender surgery? That's a reasonable discussion to have. That's what a democracy is. And you know who gets to weigh in? Everybody. Everybody. The far right gets, the religious right gets to weigh in. Lesbians get to weigh in. Straight people get to weigh in. Everyone gets to weigh in. But just to say, no, shut it down, don't get the book, nobody gets to hear it. That's not good. That's not good. That's not a democracy. But we're not a democracy. We're a kleptocracy run by oligarchs. And we're already fascist. Everyone's like, oh, and if Trump gets reelected, there's going to be more fascism. Or I heard some conservatives say, if Biden gets elected, oh, he's going to be a fascist. We already had fascism. We've had it since the Patriot Act, if not sooner. Maybe we've had it since the 70s. I don't know. But we're sure as shit not a representative democracy. That got taken away by the oligarchs decades ago, man. 4-decade-long corporate coup. And part of it is censorship. So I appreciate you can disagree and debate. If you're offensive and threatening, that's not good. That's different. You don't get to threaten, but we get to ask questions. And if I read that book and I'm like, I don't like this woman's offensive and stupid, or I don't like it, I'll say that, but I won't say she needs to be blocked. I'll say, don't read this book. Don't support her. She's nuts. But I won't say block it. Thanks for watching the show, everybody. Thank you for submitting this, Crafty Geek. It's a really great discussion, maybe even debate in the comment section, people. Be reasonable, be open to hear different points of view, but this is why freedom of speech is important, and this is why I support Glenn Greenwald. This is why I think he's a great journalist. Thanks for watching the show. You're making Gotham great again. Shave your knuckles for justice. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood. and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.